Welcome everybody. Welcome to our podcast. This podcast we're talking about cyber security, and it's a massive subject. But we're talking about what are the threats out there? What is cyber security? What can you do about it? And in our next podcast, we'll talk a bit more about how you can better protect against it. So I'm Rob Burrell, Sales Director at Axon, and with me is Tim Mears, our Managing Director.
Morning.
Hi Tim. So this week we're talking about cyber security. It's fair to say that's been on the increase massively throughout the pandemic. So phishing attacks, as an example, have gone up 700%, which is huge. We're helping our customers protect themselves better. We'll talk a bit more about it in the next podcast. But this one we're talking about more about the cyber criminals and the threats out there. So yeah, I just thought I'd get your views.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconception around hacking. Especially people are seeing it in the news. It's coming more and more. I think the big hacking stories which hit the BBC in the headlines, everyone's aware of it now. But I don't think people actually... I think the misconception is that hackers are criminal organisations, very organised, which they are, a lot of them, around targeting the FBI or MI6 and the big ones. They're constantly tracking the Microsofts, the Google, the world, the Facebooks. But people need to understand actually that the majority of hackers don't distinguish between large businesses and small businesses. They're really just trying to get anything that they can. And I think that misconception that they are large organised, which there are a lot of large organised, they run as businesses and they're in offices. You know, hackers will set up a business and set up desks with offices of employees trying to hack. But then there's also what is known in the industry as kiddie scripters, and these are kids who are sitting in their bedroom, you know, and they just do it as a hobby, if I'm perfectly honest. And we always use the phrase "monkey with a machine gun," and what they're trying to do is they're trying to actually just hit anyone. They don't care if you're a 2-man business in Bollington or a 700-man business in Manchester. What they will just do is they will send out scripts onto the web to try and hit any business that they can. And I think people actually need to understand what they're trying to achieve, and the majority of the time what they're trying to achieve is called ransomware. Now what ransomware is, it will basically lock down all your files, so it will shut down your business. If you're listening to this today and think about your business, how would you survive now if all your electronic documents you couldn't use? They were all locked. Yeah. Would your business survive? You know, could you do your day-to-day tomorrow, the next day? People don't think about this, and if you actually sit down and think, they'll go, oh, actually, no, we'll be struggling with those. So what the hackers are doing is they send a program, get into your systems, they will lock down all your internal documentation and then want money for it. That's what they want. They will put a ransom out there, hence the name ransomware, and you will say, we'll decrypt or we'll allow you your documents back, but pay us £5,000, or it can go anything up to millions of pounds. And that's one of the big key things happening at the moment. So it's a misconception that hackers are purely after big businesses. They don't care if that £3,000 comes from a big business or a one-man band. They don't care as long as they got the opportunity to get their £3,000.
Yeah.
And it's not all. There's thousands of people doing this out there, ranging from your 14-year-old child sat in his bedroom at home with his parents downstairs, up to organised crime. And it's widespread. You know, I think you said, what was that figure you said before in terms of the increase on ransomware?
700% on just phishing alone. So
you know, it's a massive problem. And now what has happened in the pandemic as well is that we've all now got employees who are all remote. They're not in the office, etc., and don't have the security that has probably historically been in place in that central location because they're all in remote offices. So this is why you've seen this massive increase.
Yeah, and I think that's why the SMB is actually more open for two reasons. A, the big enterprise, the corporate, may have spent more. It's fair to say they'd have a larger budget on security, but also that some small businesses, they just don't think it's going to be them. So, like you said, they're not thinking they're going to be attacked. And actually, we've read about small businesses in some of the computing press where just a 10-20 man business in, say, the manufacturing industry has been targeted, hit, and then it's cost them tens and tens of thousands of pounds.
Well, we hear about it all the time. And to give you a working example, and people won't be aware of this, is that hackers will actually get into your system and they won't do anything for months. And all they're doing is monitoring the system, what you're doing. So they're monitoring what you're writing or how you speak. And, I've heard a story of a hacker's got in and it's monitored an MD, funny enough. And that MD, they're actually going through they're acquiring another business. Now, he was actually flying out to San Francisco. So they knew all this. And they knew this big transaction was going through, and they knew what time his flight was. So actually, they sent an email, got into the system, sent an email to the FD and gone, "Hi Jeff, can't talk at the moment. I would have rung you, but I'm in the airport lounge. Was just about to board. I'm going to San Fran, as you know, etc., etc. Deal's gone ahead, but we need to do a transaction of £100,000. Please send it to this bank." Well, Jeff, the FD's gone, "All right, well, I know he's in the airport. I know he's going over to the San Francisco. Well, this is right." So he offered to send £100,000, yeah? Yeah, it was the hackers. Straight into a Bitcoin account, lost 100,000.
Yeah.
And these aren't big businesses, these were smaller businesses. And this is what, the hackers are very clever at what they do.
Yeah.
And then the other big one on the increase is that they'll take credit card details. Now, people won't know this, but it's called the dark web, which is basically, it's on the internet, but it's not indexed like Google. When you go to Google, you type in bbc.co.uk, it's indexed and everything goes up. The dark web isn't, and you have to bounce off numerous servers. And we've done it, our technical director's done it in our office. You remember that training session? And I was amazed. It opened my eyes. Is that you could buy 1,000 credit card details with the CS. Is it the CSV, CVS, CSV 3 digits on the back of these cards? 1,000 was, you could buy it for about £300.
Yeah, and he was ready to buy an AK-47, wasn't he?
We did. Guns, anything like that. There was an AK. I asked him to buy it because I wanted to know how it got delivered, whether it was parcel force or Royal Mail. But this was just open my eyes to the magnitude of the problem that we've got.
Mm-hmm. And have you received the AK-47?
No, funny enough, I didn't.
Okay, so great. So just to summarise, then, that's just kind of we're kind of trying to just point out to our own customers, but all SMBs out there, that it's not just the big boys that are getting targeted. So in our next podcast, we'll talk about how to better protect your business, your users, your data against these types of cyber attacks.
I think my last message would be, don't think because you are an SMB or you're a small that you are not prone to cyber attack. You definitely are, because they do not distinguish between the small or the large business. You are just as much at risk. And if you are not thinking about cyber security or engage with someone, whether it's us, whether it's anybody else, I'm just imploring you, please start thinking about cyber security, because this is a big problem at the moment.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.